All right. Good afternoon, everyone. So we are continuing to review my trades from the morning time. We'll start with the pre-market analysis. Here's a 15-minute chart. Now, looking at this chart, you can obviously see that we have been in a downtrend. That is apparent. We're also making lower lows and bouncing, as you can see. We're making one lower low and bouncing from that. So I'm not leaning bearish this morning personally. Now I do have some bearish price targets. But let me mark out all the relevant pivots real quick because those are obviously erased while I'm trading. There's one. There's one. All right, cool. All right. So this is where we're at. My pre-market analysis was I'm pretty much in the middle. Obviously we've been trending to the downside. If we usually my pre-market analysis are if-then statements, right? If this happens, then I am bullish or bearish. Or sometimes it'll just be right now bullish or bearish. This is not one of those times. We're in a downtrend, but it kind of looks like we're chopping down, making lower lows and bouncing, which is a bullish thing. We are in really big demand, but when my whole screen's green like this, it doesn't really matter. I pay attention to the demand clusters down here, so on and so forth. So pretty even, but if we invalidate a majority of this bounce, I will be bearish, not just for this low, but also for 24,490 on NQ. It's a fairly major pivot, nothing crazy. But these pivots are close enough together, and the demand is weak enough to where if I become bearish enough to where I hypothesize that the pre-market low will get taken out, I'm going to assume there's also a pretty good chance we continue to the next pivot. Obviously, we have these pivots above. If we have good momentum and one is a lot stronger than the other, then I can take a long trade or calls in this instance. However, mark this on your charts, guys. It did not happen today. 68.98 on ES right here. We have a perfect double top here, and it's close to a perfect triple top. It only missed it by one tick. So this level here, right at the top of this supply, this level, 68.98. I am extremely bullish for that level to break to the upside if we get within 15 points of it, right? Obviously, it's not relevant right now. We're nowhere near it. But if we can get somewhere like, if we can get up to like here, to where we're within 15 to 20 points of it, then I'm going to be pretty bullish. And now I'm going to actually start taking trades towards that point, right? So, anyways, so that's my pre-market analysis. Not too much. Now my nearest pivot is here on both ES and NQ. If we do invalidate this pullback, it could be a pretty decent trade to take through this pivot into the next supply. But I'm not going to do that if the risk to reward is terrible and there's not a major strength divergence. And I want that strength divergence because that'll help me push out my risk to reward a little bit. There's the first candle. I got to go because I don't remember the exact candle. I think I entered right at the start of the next candle. This candle was super bullish on ES. Look at ES and NQ, right? S&P on the left, NASDAQ on the right. Huge strength divergence here. Polar opposites. ES went up, NQ went down, which is actually fairly rare. I don't know which way it's going to end up going, but what I do know is the nearest pivot, because obviously I always hypothesize that price action tends to chase liquidity. My nearest major liquidity point is this pivot on ES, which is above, not below. So by default, I'm leaning like we're more likely for ES to go up than NQ to keep going down, right? Because it's either SPX calls right now or QQQ puts. SPX calls have better odds. But I waited for the very next candle to open, and it opened pretty red, actually. It came all the way back down. But if you guys were in live with me, as you guys know, I live trade every day. We invalidated this red candle. And right when this candle invalidated, I took my entry on SPX calls, and that happened. So my entry was right here, right when the candle flipped green. Got a pretty decent fill. I don't remember the exact strike, but I filled at 2.9 on the SPX calls, the 0 days, of course. Bare minimum PT is this one here, which is a decent trim level, but realistically, I'm going for the next supply, and by the end of this candle, I see, oh, NQ's flipping strong, I guess. Look how big this green candle is. Going for this NQ pivot. Now, if you missed the trade, you got lucky because we came all the way back down to where I was pretty much red, which did suck. But we did end up making it out. The NASDAQ was a lot stronger than ES. Huge strength change, but not bad. Got 65% gains here, and I left a tiny runner position in. And at this point, my next major pivot is here on NQ. If we look at the chart and step back and look at the chart, you can see we're making a lot of lower lows and bouncing. This is a ton of momentum. Right now, as it stands, I'm bullish for us to get to the next pivot. However, I can't just enter here. Like I want to, I do, because NQ is stronger than ES. The risk toward's pretty decent. But I want to see this trend at least get tested. And if I get full on 2 oscillation plus bullish consolidation, like a full bull flag or pennant, then I can enter a normal size trade. But if I'm just going to wait for 1 oscillation or the bare minimum, I'm going to enter half size. So, still waiting, thinking I'm going to miss out on it. And then we get this beauty. And by the way, those SPX calls, they got to like 80% gains. I don't know where they got to. I pretty much averaged, on that trade, I think I averaged like 45 to 50%. I don't remember. Okay, so we finally got this pullback on NQ. And I said, all right, I'm in if this pullback invalidates. However, I have to be half size though, because I'm getting in pretty early. I'm not looking for much. And it did end up invalidating here, and I did enter the trade. So I took the QQQ 0 days, 591. Oh, wait, no, those are the puts. I took the 607 calls at 60 cents. Half size, so I'm saving buying power to add. Whenever I say half size or saving buying power to add, the same thing. And I will only add to this trade. I don't really plan on averaging down. I'll only add to this trade if we complete another oscillation. So we pull back and then invalidate the pullback fully, I will add to the trade. Otherwise, my stop loss is like roughly here. Looks like I was going to add to the trade. This is looking like a bull flag at the moment, but NQ started flipping weak, and I stopped out. I don't actually believe it was quite on this candle because my average was actually somewhere down here. I stopped out halfway through the next candle, which was kind of unfortunate because it was a bigger candle, but it was only half size loss. I didn't add. The potential bullish consolidation fully validated. I was out. I don't know the percent change. I didn't calculate that, but I sold at 42 cents. So 18 over 60. I don't know what that is. That's just under like 25 to 27%. Like a 25% loss there. Let's just say 27% loss, but half size, pretty decent. I wasn't quite full size on this trade either. I did add a bit right here, but that was an average up. But still green on the day, just lighter green now. Pretty fine loss. Now this is starting to look like it's bearish. Not just for a temporary pullback, but look at the size of the red candles increasing. Look at the volume slowly increasing while staying proportionate to the candle, which is very important. Now I'm starting to lean for this entire move to invalidate. And it's actually on this candle that I fill SPX puts. Filled SPX puts at 2.2 per contract. And really, bare minimum, I'm looking for your low of day, which is this baby pivot right here. However, on the next candle, it was a really good entry. On the next candle, I realized, NQ might be flipping weaker. I filled a light position on QQQ puts as well. Now, I'm able to add to these positions. We'll see if we bounce. Well, we do end up bouncing. I'm not really in the mood to average down today, which was good for one of my trades. Not very good for this one. I told you guys in my channel that I will add only if we get a bounce and that bounce invalidates. Well, here we bounce. As you can see, NQ is looking weaker. ES still has a majority of this red candle validated. And again, if you missed my fill, you got even a better one. Well, now this this bounce is invalidating. Early into the next candle, I did fill my average down, not my average down, my ad for SPX. It was a slight average up, and QQQ is about the same. Now this was looking pretty good, but the last bounce was sketchy, and then we got this candle. I'm like, oh boy. Now I started having a feeling that we are going to bounce fairly hard, and this is where I say if we get to my PT without bouncing, I will dump everything. The red flags are going off, and it was looking like we're going to get a short squeeze. We bounced. Shorts immediately started piling into that bounce, invalidated the bounce, and now we're bouncing again. When you keep bouncing like that and shorts keep pressing into your bounces, at some point when the previous bearish leg, the bearish invalidation that bounce invalidates, you're going to start getting all these shorts that piled in to suppress these bounces, all the shorts that piled in here and here and here. They're going to start stopping out of their trades, which is going to propel price action further. And then once this candle invalidates, especially with this big wick, it's going to be looking like a short squeeze of supply. So that's what I'm thinking. So I'm not feeling very great about it. Looking back on it, I probably didn't need to be as skittish. I think seeing it live was a bit different. And then this happened. So it's typically either a short squeeze or a stop loss raid coming. I got lucky and the opposite happens. It was a huge stop loss raid. So I didn't just dump everything right away. This candle happened very fast. Like this entire drop happened within 10 seconds. So this was freaking beautiful. And this is pretty much where my day ended. Obviously took trims, but it looks great at least in the next demand. And by this point, what did I tell you guys in the pre-market analysis? If this bounce starts invalidating, I am going to lean bearish for 24.90. So I made sure I kept runners open for that. And it was pretty much straight shot from there. Bounce a little bit out of the demand. Very good trims here in this NQ demand. But I sold everything, not just when NQ got this pivot, but also when ES got this final pivot right here, this 67, 96.50 pivot. NQ's missing the 24.90. Now it got it. Now ES is close enough to this pivot. Tiny runner position left. I'll sell the second it gets this pivot because I'll be out. As you can see, it's starting to bounce a bit on the way down. And I sold the second it touched, and it happened to be the bottom. Got a volume spike, buying wick against a pivot. It was freaking beautiful. So this is where we closed out today. So one solid win in the beginning. Wasn't quite full size, so not as big as I wanted to, but roughly 50% gains there. Roughly a 30% loss, just under a 30% loss up here, but it was only half size. So fantastic management. And then these trades were pretty much full size. Combined, I think I was roughly 1.5x leverage. A trade and a half worth because my QQQ trade was lighter. So this was a really, really big win. And by the time my runner hit this PT, SPX puts cleared more than 170% gains. And my QQQ puts cleared 120% gains by the time they got to this pivot. So it was a very, very, very nice morning. And again, I don't really care about win rate anymore. I just care about solid hypothesis execution and position management, trading psychology, and income as a result of those things. And really solid morning, great volatility, all of those things. That was my morning, and we proceeded to take a futures trade. The second hour of futures trading sucked, but this first hour we did take a futures long right here, and that was a nice 400 tick trade on NQ. And we ended up going all the way back up. It's not often. I don't remember the last time I saw a huge falling wedge play out, but it did play out. So I'd say fairly good price action today. The first 2 hours of market open were really nice. Lots of money to be made there. But with all that being said, type in chat. Do any of you guys have any questions regarding any of the trades that I took this morning or analysis that was done? No questions? Everyone's good? All right, sweet. So, most of you guys trade futures. If you are trading futures, you should be using our North Star Edge platform, which is our journaling platform. It is literally free. Stopping a lazy POS and use it. It's free. Connect your Trade of 8 to it. Use it. Use it to build your strategy. Use it to analyze your data. All those things. It's completely free on the website. Speaking of that, today I'm going to start working on not just the documentation of that website, but a series of video tutorials for that journaling platform so you guys can, harness the full capabilities of that platform because it is a very powerful platform. I want you guys to be able to take advantage of it, know all the things that you can do. There's psychological tracking to it. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with that platform. Uh, Analyze the scalability of your strategy. So simulate how much payouts would you get on Apex rules or any other rules, and how to add accounts. I mean, I can't even talk about it. I'll yap for 4 hours about how powerful that platform is, but it is very solid. So make sure you guys take advantage of it. And John Ark asks, how many contracts do you recommend for futures? One mini for NQ? No. I recommend all of you guys start with Apex. Like, yeah, other firms are fine. If you are new, do not listen to them. Start with Apex. There's a 90% off sale right now. You're going to pay $20 for an evaluation. Okay? When you're starting, trade tiny size. Don't go above 3 MNQ, 3 NASDAQ micros, and make sure your ES positions, if you trade both, are twice your NQ positions. So 6 and 3. Small. Practice. You want your accounts to last as long as possible. Don't spend more than like 90% off, $40 this month trading futures. Don't even try to grow accounts. Don't try to pass them. Don't try for payouts. Build a strategy, an income producing strategy, and focus on that and get practice. Everything you touch when you start trading futures, just like anything else, you are going to blow up everything you touch for the first 2 months. So why would you pay $50 or $90 or much more money for these other prop firms that might have easier rules, but it doesn't matter what the rules are, you're going to lose them anyways. So start with Apex, save your money, make your accounts last as long as possible, make your dollars invested go as far as possible, and then if you get to the point where you're like, okay, I've got a strategy, it's been working, I've been trading on Apex, but you know what? If I were under Top Steps payout rules, I would have gotten a payout by now, or a couple of them. Then make the switch. Then you're ready to make the switch. But in the beginning, it's all about risk management, financial management, all those things. Of course, this is not financial advice. Feel free to lose all your money at the casino. But yeah, that's what you should do, or that's what I would do. And your path to success is going to be a lot more linear that way, right? One thing futures does fantastic is it really linearizes your trading career. Not as big of ups and downs. You don't save up for a couple of months to create an options portfolio, lose it all in 2 weeks. Then you have gray hair from stress, and you need to save up for another couple months and try again. It's not like that, right? You're always going to be able to trade every day, multiple trades a day, and it's going to cost pretty much nothing to build that skill set. So yeah, nice John Hawk. Yeah, I was more so ranting for the other people that are going to watch this on YouTube. But for the 50K accounts, I would not go above 1 mini on ES, 5 micros on NQ. There is no need to go above that. There's absolutely no need. If you feel a need to go above that for some crazy reason, just add more accounts to your group trading. That is if you are already successful. 1 ES mini, 5 NQ micros, that's plenty. That is absolutely plenty. At least for the 50Ks. But all right, sweet. I will save this recording. Appreciate you guys attending. We'll have the study session later tonight, and I'll keep you guys updated on everything that is going on. If you have not signed up for the free mentorship that's included with Premium starting March 1st, go to the Premium announcement channel and do that. We are continuing to push towards our goal of 50% of all active traders in the server profitable. I think right now we're closing on 30%. I think we're at 25% or something. I don't know. What I do know is 50% of all the active 2025 mentorship members are profitable. That I do know. That I can promise. But this server, I want 50% of all active members in this server, as far as premium goes, to be profitable. And that soft 6-month mentorship will help me get us towards that goal. So make sure you sign up for that. But all right, I will see you guys later. You have a blessed rest of your day. And if I don't see you for the study session tonight, I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning to hopefully, knock on wood, make more money and have great psychology.